Hey folks, John Henning here with the Franchise Radio Show. Today we're joined by Brad Thomas, the CEO and founder of Franchise Empowerment. Brad, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, John, thanks for the opportunity. Great to be on here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be talking with you. So Brad's a franchise consultant, and today we're going to be talking about what he does, a little bit about franchising, how it all works. And I've got some questions here for you, Brad. Before we get into the business stuff, though,
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you just a little bit about you without talking too much into the business side. Tell us, who is Brad
Yeah.
Thomas? Our listeners like
Okay.
to kind of get a
Sure.
chance to get to know the people that are on here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great. Well, I guess I'd start out and say I'm pretty old. I'm 67 years old. And I would say I've been in business most of my life. I grew up in Mansfield, Ohio, and our family owned a music store. And I started taking around my dad when I was really young. Worked there all the way through college and high school, but really kind of grew up in the business. And then after college, I had a 34-year career with Kraft Foods, and then retired 11 years ago. And now, since that time, I've been a consultant. But I guess really to talk about me, it's all about my family. I've been married to my wife, Kathy. It's going to be 45 years. Probably the best decision I ever made, no question. And she was a school nurse and retired 2 years ago. And I also have two boys.
Okay.
My oldest son, Brian, is in Denver, and him and his wife, Darby, they just opened their third chiropractor franchise office.
Look at that.
And
All right.
so,
Okay.
yeah, it's been a great experience for them. They've been very successful. And when they started, they were like number 2 in the system. Now they have over 160 franchisees. They're doing a lot of mentoring and taking on leadership position there.
Wow. That's
And
great.
then I have a son. My youngest boy lives in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Actually, he just moved to Upper Arlington. That's the town where Jack Nicklaus grew up in. And he's a CPA. And his wife also is a CPA. I have 4 grandchildren from Brian. I have a granddaughter 6 and grandson 3. And my youngest boy, Aaron, a granddaughter 3 and grandson 1. So I've been very blessed, I guess, with a great family background. And that's pretty much,
Good deal.
what feeds me. So
That's
I hope
perfect,
that
man.
helps.
Yeah, it definitely does. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing. We can tell,
sure.
I can hear the passion when you're talking about your family. It
Yeah.
sounds like a great family. So thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Yep.
I would tell you, growing up in the business with my dad was probably the thing I cherished most in life. I just learned so much from him, and it started my career in business. And yeah, one of the experience I'm really grateful. A lot of folks don't really have a business ownership background where their parents or family member was involved in business ownership. So I feel really fortunate that I was able to. And so that's kind of what I'm doing now. This is the thing that's meant the most to me. And so what I do now is give someone an opportunity to have some of the same experience that I have. Yep.
Yeah, let's
Mhm.
talk about that for a minute. What is it that you do? What is a franchise consultant? Now, obviously, I know what a franchise consultant is,
Yeah.
but for our listeners,
Yeah.
just take them through just a brief
Yeah.
introduction of what do you do
Sure.
as a franchise consultant?
Yeah, that's the first question. Like, what is a franchise advisor? I've
Right.
never heard of that. So yeah, so if you want to look at, I'm a headhunter for people that want to get involved in business ownership. So that's pretty much what I do. And yeah, I would think people that are interested in business ownership, they don't really know where to start. I work with over 600 companies, and so I'm able to connect them with companies that's going to resonate with them personally. So having someone is like, if you have a legal situation, you go see attorney. If you have a financial situation, you
Mhm.
go see advisor. So that's kind of my specialty. is business ownership and franchising.
All right. Yeah. And we'll talk about the process here in just a few
Yeah,
minutes. So,
sure.
now what is the cost for your service? I'm assuming it must cost an arm and a leg for
Yeah,
somebody to work with you, right?
I wish that was the case, but it's not. So I'm very much like a realtor. If a investor would receive a franchise award, then I'm given a marketing fee.
Okay.
I would say 85% of people go into franchising work with someone like myself,
Hmm.
because it's so value added. So yeah, and I've had some friends that have done this on their own, and there's been some of them have had some pretty difficult experiences. So
Yeah.
so it's kind of beware of what's out there, and we know the companies you should run from. So we won't show those to you. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're
we
able to
won't.
help them narrow the field, right? You go
Yeah,
through stuff, and we'll
yeah,
talk about that in a
yeah,
minute here. Now,
sure.
how did you get into franchising? Kind of start with
Yeah,
your
yeah,
career where you were that you mentioned, and kind
sure.
of what led you into
Yeah.
franchising and consulting.
Yeah, well, yeah, the last few years when I was at Kraft, I was responsible for one of their largest franchise supermarkets. And what I learned was what a better way to go into business than what we did. And as a business owner, you're a jack of all trades. So not only are you operating the business, you also have to figure out the sales, the marketing, the technology, all those type of things. Well, with a franchise, they have those all there for you, done at a very high level. So yes, it's such advantage that your mission is to navigate the ship. And when you have all these experts running these individual systems, then it really allows the franchisee to take advantage of all the expertise that the franchisor has, and yeah, take some things off his load. And I would think in business ownership, every owner has strengths and weaknesses. And what I found was things that I don't do very well, find someone else to do them that can do
Hmm.
them well.
Right.
So yeah, so I think the thing that's unique about franchising is the support system. So not only the support of the franchisor, they literally are there to help you in every way. But there's a second support level, and that's with the franchisees in the system.
Hmm.
And sometimes that support level is even more important than the franchisor. To have good franchisees in the system you could go to, you're all doing the same thing, the same business. Obviously, they've found some really good solutions. So a lot of times, a lot of them become friends and even go on vacations together. So to have a dual support system with a business is a real advantage. I can tell you, our business started in 1941. It takes a long time to perfect a business. You spend a lot of money and a lot of time, trying to do it. So, so you're really working off the success of someone that's already, found out, how to operate a business. So
Right.
you're using their best practices, and so from a risk reward point of view, I think that's a real advantage. So
It sounds like, what you're describing here, Brad, is that you don't have to keep getting it wrong until you get it right. Right.
that's
So,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
and they have, and so they've already gone through those hard lessons, so you don't have to. So yeah,
All right.
definitely.
Let's talk about the folks that you work with on a regular. Just give us a general idea.
Yeah.
What type of folks do you generally work with? Do you see any trends, any particular type of person that makes sense to reach out to you? Who are you out there working with helping find franchises?
Yeah, I would say most of the individuals I'm working with are a little bit older. Part of that is really having the financial resources to fund the capital. But it's really, just about anyone. It could be a business professional. It could be a teacher that retired or a nurse retired. And
Hmm.
so franchising kind of levels the playing field. Even if you haven't had business experience, you can work with a franchise and they're going to train you with everything you need to know, and all those things that made you successful in that career, they transfer over into that business. So I would say there's not a, common denominator. Also work with foreign investors. A lot of them come over in the E2 visa and start businesses. So they're really fun to work with too. Just a total different group. And so that's from different countries, and I find them really fun to work with.
Now, do you work with clients ongoing throughout the process? You're just showing them info and they're on their own. How does that part of the process work?
Yeah, no, my job is really to take them through the investigative process, hook them up. I have financial resources for funding and franchise attorneys to review agreements, things like that.
Okay.
So all the way till they receive award and, maybe before they even start. So from that point on, I mean, they're welcome to, call me or interact as a friend. But since they're in that business, then I really don't want to give advice on, how to run that business, because that's what their franchise is about. But no, I've what's really cool about business is all the relationships that you build. And
Sure.
I think when you look at a career, that's the thing you come back with, just all the friends and people that you have met along the way that are really special. So I find that really kind of the reward for business is just having those relationships. So
I want to clarify one thing here, Brad. You've mentioned a couple of times, I'm glad you brought it up. You've mentioned a couple of times the award of the franchise, and what you're talking about there is the difference between being sold a franchise versus a mutual discovery where everybody's in agreement and qualifications, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, if you join a franchise system, you're really in a marriage. You
Right.
need each one. You need each other, and so they're looking for people that will really have the passion to operate the business, and at the same time, as an investor, you're looking for a great business opportunity.
Right.
So it's a mutual thing. Not everyone that goes through the process are awarded a franchise, and they have their own requirements. Just like if you were, interviewing, for with a company. So
Sure.
so it's a mutual thing, and where both parties feel, very comfortable with each other. Mhm.
Now, I would imagine, Brad, doing what you do and talking with folks that want to, look at franchises, you have to get the next question quite often. Like, so I'd be shocked if you didn't. What is the best franchise, Brad?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a great question. And I would say there really isn't an answer for that. And that's what most people think, is it McDonald's or Chick-fil-A? But really, it's about finding the right business for you. If you would have a son or daughter and they're graduating from high school and wanting to go into college, you go on the college visits. Are there a lot of really good colleges? Yes. But you're looking for that one college where you're done, your son or daughter is going to soar.
Mm-hmm.
This is really the same way. You're looking for a company that you match up really well with, and one where you perceive that you're going to have the most success. So I can tell you there's some businesses I would fail at because my talents and skills don't align to it. And that's pretty much true with everyone. I think you should be looking for businesses where the things that are important to be successful, those are the things that you generally do well and are comfortable in. So yeah, I think it's pretty much, the same if you were interviewing with a company, do you have the tools, and, are you the right person, to lead that business?
No, I couldn't agree more. I've been doing this 18 years myself. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about. So that's great. I want to shift gears here a little bit and talk about, are there any areas of the country that are like bigger growth opportunities? What are the hot growth markets out there? Do you ever see anything like that where you're talking to
Yeah.
more people from here? Give us an idea. What are the hot areas in the country?
Yeah. I mean, there's some population shifts going on right now. I'd say, two of the more popular states is Texas and Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for two reasons. Simply because there's been a tremendous amount of growth in those areas, and
Mm-hmm.
where there's growth, there are opportunities. They're both, uh, business savvy. They welcome business ownership. But really, I mean, you know, franchising and business ownership is in every state of the country. So yeah, you generally, things run in trends, and those are two areas that are really experiencing, a just robust, growth. So
Yeah, I would
yeah,
agree. Yep,
yeah,
agree with that 100% as well. I see the same trends too. So, let's talk a little bit about just a little bit of financial resources. If somebody were thinking about looking into owning
yeah,
a franchise, what type of financial resources should they have? How much capital? What's the net worth look like? Give us an idea. I know there's no hard and fast number because there's so many different opportunities, but
yeah,
what, generally speaking, what should someone at least have to bring to the table to talk with
yeah.
you?
Yeah, I would say a minimum of $50,000, and that would be with something that was kind of liquid, whether it's checking, savings, or you have stocks, that type of thing, funds that you would have readily available. And the other thing is be credit worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, do you have a good, credit record? And yeah, two things. I mean, I find usually people that get into business, they're going to use some of their resources, and also they're going to borrow money. And so having a solid financial background is key, because you're one of the number one ways of failure is undercapitalization. And so it's important for you and the franchisor to know that you have the resources to operate the business. So yeah.
You mentioned one phrase there. I want to do a quick follow up on about the IRA, the
Yep.
401k
Yep.
type stuff. There are alternatives out there to be able to utilize those funds for starting a
Yeah.
franchise business, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's several. Probably the two most popular one are SBA, or Small Business Administration loans, and those are funds that you get through a financial institution by a bank, but they're guaranteed by the government. And there's really two programs. With the ones that are more expensive with the building, with those you can get up to $500,000. And then there's another program if it's doesn't have the real high capital requirements, you can get up to $150,000. That's probably the primary funding source for most people going into franchising.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a retirement rollover program where the government will allow you to utilize your retirement dollars to
Mm-hmm.
start and operate a business. And there's no taxation, and there's no penalties if you're under 59 and a half. So that's a great way to start out, because it's kind of equity financing. You're not starting out a business with a both a principal and interest loan, so
Sure.
it does take some pressure off your back, and it's a way to utilize resources without borrowing money. So
So
yeah,
if I understand this correct, Brad, you're gonna talk with the folks, identify their
yeah,
needs and wants. You're gonna help
yeah,
match them up to some franchises, do the introductions, walk them through the due diligence, and help
yeah.
them along, including putting them in touch with some franchise attorneys, financial
Mhm.
resources, and answering questions, all of that type of stuff. Right now,
Yeah,
if I were an entrepreneur and I'm thinking about exploring franchise ownership, what's the best way that I could reach out to you? I want to make sure to include that
yeah,
information on the
yeah.
site as well.
Yeah, real simply, if you go to my website, Franchise Empowerment, it has all my contact information. There's videos, all kinds of things. If you go to LinkedIn, go to Brad Thomas. Again, it has my background and all the information. You can email me at brad@franchiseempowerment.com, or you can call me at 937-433-7135.
I'll make sure to include all that contact information right here below
Okay.
the interview on the webpage for you as well. Now,
Okay, that'd be great.
Brad, I want to give you the last word here as we wrap everything
Yeah.
up. Kind of give us, in your own words, a recap, and if we missed anything, give them that pitch here at the end. Just kind of recap everything that you can help folks with.
Yeah, I mean, what I really help people with is having, a professional help them through the whole buying process.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, they can make an educated, uh, minded decision, and feel comfortable, with the company. And so, using my expertise, I work with people every day and work with these companies. And so really, helping them, being really a facilitator, to help them get into business ownership and do it on a professional and very defined process that has proven to be very, very successful.
Good deal. Well, Brad Thomas, the CEO and founder of Franchise Empowerment. Brad's a franchise consultant. Highly encourage you to reach out to him. If you do reach out to Brad, please make sure you mention that you heard the interview here on the Franchise Radio Show. He would appreciate that. We would love to hear that feedback as well. Brad, thank you so much, buddy.
Hey, John, thank you. Thanks for all that you do with franchising. And I know you have a lot of followers, and people have really benefited from all the things that you're doing. So again, thank you for allowing me to be on your program.
You're welcome.
Okay.